Jerome pushed his cleaning cart down the empty hallway. Office lights were off, but his mind was bright. Lyrics bounced in his head, a rhythm for his thoughts. He was a janitor, yeah, but in his heart, he was a rapper. People at work knew he wrote rhymes. Some laughed, others just shook their heads. "Stick to mopping, old man," they'd say. Jerome never argued. Their doubt was just noise. He believed in the music inside him. Every night, as the city outside slowed to a hush and the last footsteps faded from the hallways, the empty office became his stage. The world might have been sleeping, but for him, this was the hour when his spirit came alive. The silence was not emptiness, it was possibility, a blank canvas waiting for his story. He'd rap along to beats on his headphones, his voice echoing in the silence, bouncing off glass and steel. Each lyric was a secret confession, each verse a piece of his soul. The music filled the void, transforming the sterile office into a place of rhythm and hope. In those moments he was more than a janitor, he was an artist, a dreamer, a storyteller. He poured his life into his verses, the struggles, the dreams, the hope for something more. Every line he scribbled in his worn notebook was a reflection of his journey, the long hours, the sacrifices, the quiet determination to rise above his circumstances. His lyrics captured the pain of being unseen, but also the fire that kept him moving forward. The rhythm of his work became the rhythm of his music. The swish of the mop, the clang of the bucket, all found their way into his flow. Even the hum of the fluorescent lights and the distant city sounds became part of his beat. Every movement, every sound was woven into his nightly symphony, a harmony of labor and passion. He wasn't just cleaning, he was composing a symphony of his life. He kept his dreams to himself, practiced in private, letting his imagination run wild as he worked. The mop became his microphone, the empty desks his audience. In his mind he performed for thousands, each verse a step closer to the life he envisioned. The silence of the empty offices held his secrets, his aspirations. He didn't need anyone's approval, his reward was the music itself. As he gazed out the window at the sleeping city, he knew that every night spent rapping in the shadows was a promise to himself, a promise that one day his voice would be heard beyond these walls. One night Sarah, a young intern, worked late. Walking down the hallway she heard a voice. Powerful, raw, honest, it drew her in. She peeked into the open office. There was Jerome, lost in his world, rapping with his whole heart. Sarah was floored, his lyrics were real, his flow was smooth, his passion was undeniable. She pulled out her phone and hit record. This voice, this talent, deserved to be heard. She posted the video online with a simple caption, "Real recognizes real." The next morning, the hallways buzzed with a new kind of energy. Whispers darted from locker to locker, bouncing off the faded walls, as students exchanged glances filled with curiosity and disbelief. It was as if the entire school had woken up to a secret that was too big to keep. Everywhere you looked, people huddled around their phones, eyes wide, mouths agape. Some gasped, others laughed in amazement, and a few just stood silent, letting the moment sink in. The video had gone viral overnight, and now everyone wanted to see it for themselves. In the middle of it all was Jerome, the quiet janitor who had always blended into the background. Now, he was the center of attention, his phone lighting up with messages and notifications. He had become an internet sensation, almost by accident. His words, raw and honest, had struck a chord. People from all walks of life were sharing his story, leaving heartfelt comments and even shedding tears as they watched his video. For the first time, his story was being heard far beyond the school walls. As Jerome walked those same halls he'd cleaned for years, he could feel the difference. The usual laughter and side comments faded away, replaced by a quiet respect. Students stepped aside, making way for him, their eyes filled with something new, admiration. Even those who once mocked him now offered shy smiles and respectful nods. The bullies, who had never given him a second thought, looked at him differently, as if seeing him for the very first time. His phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Producers, agents, and fans from all over were reaching out, eager to connect with the man whose story had moved so many. Each call was a reminder that his life was changing, moment by moment. For years, Jerome had poured his soul into his music, writing lyrics late at night and dreaming of being heard. Now, the world was finally listening. The melodies and rhymes he'd kept hidden were echoing far beyond his small apartment. His truth, delivered through his rhymes, had connected with people in ways he never imagined. Strangers reached out to say how much his words meant to them. In a single night, Jerome's voice had grown from a whisper in the hallway to a roar that could be heard around the world. One morning, Jerome stepped onto the elevator, the familiar hum of the building's machinery echoing in the background. The doors slid open with a soft chime, and he found himself surrounded by the usual faces. Colleagues he'd seen countless times but who had rarely looked his way. A group of young employees, the same ones who used to whisper and laugh in hushed tones, stood beside him. Their laughter was quieter now, replaced by a new kind of energy, one that felt almost reverent. They looked at him, their faces a mix of admiration, curiosity, and a touch of embarrassment. It was as if they were seeing Jerome for the first time, not just as a coworker but as someone with a story worth knowing. "Yo, Jerome," one of them finally spoke, his voice breaking the silence. "That track is fire, man, seriously." The words hung in the air, genuine and a little uncertain, as if he wasn't sure how Jerome would respond. "We never knew." His voice trailed off, but Jerome understood what he meant. The unspoken apology, the realization that they had underestimated him, was clear in the young man's eyes. They never knew the depth of his passion, the years of quiet dedication he poured into his music after long days at work. They hadn't seen the late nights, the sacrifices, or the dreams he'd kept alive in silence. Jerome simply nodded, a small, knowing smile playing on his lips. He didn't need to say anything. The moment spoke for itself. He didn't need apologies or explanations. Their newfound respect was enough. For Jerome, this was more than just a compliment. It was a quiet acknowledgement of his journey. Their changed demeanor spoke volumes. The way they looked at him now, with genuine respect and even a hint of awe, was something he'd never expected to see. In that small, crowded elevator, Jerome realized he had finally earned something far greater than recognition. He had earned their respect, and perhaps inspired them to look beyond the surface of those around them. His sudden fame didn't change Jerome. He still showed up every night, pushing his cart, cleaning those same offices. The music was his reward, not the fame. The respect, the recognition, those were just bonuses. He used his platform to uplift others, to share stories of resilience and hope. He became a voice for the voiceless, proving that greatness can blossom anywhere, even in the quiet corners of an office building. His story became a beacon of inspiration, a testament to the power of perseverance, of staying true to yourself, even when the world doubts you. Jerome, the janitor turned rapper, had become a symbol of hope. Jerome's journey wasn't about proving anyone wrong, it was about proving himself right. He believed in his music, in his story, and that's all that mattered. He let his talent speak for itself, louder than any doubt or laughter. He showed the world that success doesn't always come with a roar. Sometimes it arrives in the quiet moments, in the dedication to a craft, in the unwavering belief in oneself. Sometimes, time tells your story for you, and sometimes, time tells them.